Hello. I'm going to read you something from a very wise book called The Four Agreements by Miguel Ruiz. And this is Don't Make Assumption. This is the third agreement. So I'm going to read this while we wait for some more to join before I tell you of my personal experience in the beginning of October. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. We have the tendency to make assumptions about everything. The problem with making assumptions is that we believe they are the truth. We could swear they are real. We make assumptions about what others are doing or thinking, and we take it personally. Then we blame them and react by sending emotional poison with our words. That is why whenever we make assumptions, we're asking for problems. We make an assumption we misunderstand. We take it personally, and we end up creating a whole big drama for nothing. All the sadness and drama you have lived in your life was rooted in making assumptions and taking things personally. Take a moment to consider the truth of this statement. The whole war of control between humans is about making assumptions and taking things personally. Our whole dream of hell is based on that. We create a lot of emotional poison just by making assumptions and taking it personally, because usually we start gossiping about our own assumptions. Remember, gossiping is the way we communicate to each other in the dream of hell and transfer poison to one another. Because we are afraid to ask for clarification, we make assumptions and believe we are right about the assumptions. Then we defend our assumptions and try to make someone else wrong. It is always better to ask questions than to make an assumption, because assumptions set us up for suffering. The big mitote is the human mind creates a lot of chaos, which causes us to misinterpret everything and misunderstand everything. We only see what we want to see and hear what we want to hear. We don't perceive things the way they are. We have the habit of dreaming with no basis in reality. And we literally dream things up in our imaginations. Because we don't understand something, we make an assumption about the meaning. And when the truth comes out, the bubble of our dream pops. And we find out it was not what we thought it was at all. An example, you're walking in the mall and you see a person you like. And that person turns to you and smiles and then walks away. You can make a lot of assumptions just because of this one experience. With these assumptions, you can create a whole fantasy, and you really want to believe this fantasy and make it real. A whole dream begins to form just from your assumptions, and you can believe, oh, this person really likes me. In your mind, a whole relationship begins with that. Maybe you even get married in this fantasy land, but the fantasy is in your mind, in your personal dream. Making assumptions in our relationships is really asking for problems. Often we make the assumption that our partners know what we think and that we don't have to say what we want. We assume they are going to do what we want because they know us so well. If they don't do what we assume they should do, we feel so hurt and say, "You should have known." Another example, you decide to get married and you make the assumption that your partner sees marriage the same way you do. And then you live together and you find out this is not true. This creates a lot of conflict, but you still don't try to clarify your feelings about marriage. The husband comes home from work and the wife is mad, and the husband doesn't know why. Maybe it's because the wife made an assumption without telling him what she wants. She makes an assumption that he knows her so well, that he knows what she wants, and if he can read her mind. And she gets so upset because he fails to meet her expectations. Making assumptions in relationships leads to a lot of fights, a lot of difficulties, a lot of misunderstandings with people we supposedly love. We also make assumptions about ourselves, and this creates a lot of inner conflict. I think I am able to do this. You make this assumption, for instance, and then you discover you aren't able to do it. You overestimate or underestimate yourself because you haven't taken the time to ask yourself questions and to answer them. Perhaps you need to gather more information about a particular situation. Or maybe you need to stop lying to yourself about what you truly want. Often, when we go into a relationship with someone you like, you have to justify why you like that person. And I think you can understand. Oh, but here is where it gets really good. This then is the third agreement. Don't make assumptions. Just saying this sounds easy, but I understand that it is difficult to do. It is difficult because we so often do exactly the opposite. We have all these habits and routines that we are not even aware of. Becoming aware of these habits and understanding the importance of this agreement is the first step. But understanding its importance is not enough. Information or an idea is merely the seed in your mind. What will really make the difference is action and experience. Taking the action over and over again strengthens your will, nurtures the seed, and establishes a solid foundation. A white magician uses the word for creation, giving, sharing, and loving. By making this one agreement a habit, your whole life will be completely transformed if you do not assume. When you transform your whole dream, magic just happens in your life. What you need comes to you easily because your spirit moves freely through you. And this is the mastery of intent, the mastery of the spirit, the mastery of love, the mastery of gratitude, and the mastery of life. This is the goal of the Toltec people. This is the path to personal freedom. Now, the reason why I read you that is because it reminded me of everything that's kind of going on about the virus and with me as well. Because I will be honest, and this is why I'm doing this, I also assumed a lot about the virus because I didn't have personal experience with it yet. So today is going to be kind of just a casual video. I just wanted to go through what strange experience I had in October and just give you all of the details so that you can have more clarification and understanding, and you can make less assumptions about something that you don't have personal experience with. Because this is what I see is happening. We have many people who believe that the coronavirus is fake and that it's not truthful and that it's just something that the government has created to make you fear something. There is another side of it where the coronavirus is strictly just to get us to take the vaccine, and then that's going to control us. So there's more fear with that perception. And there's people that laugh at others for wearing masks or for believing in the coronavirus or trying to state their own experience. And there's a lot of sarcasm too in the idea that somehow you can't be a spiritual person if you believe in the coronavirus. I've seen a couple videos about that too. And also another spiritual myth is the idea that if you somehow have fear or if you believe in the coronavirus, then you will get it. And if you don't believe in the coronavirus, and if you don't care or don't, I guess, enlighten yourself with some of the information, or you have personal experience with it, then you won't get it. And this is completely false, because I was somebody that also made a video when the coronavirus was just coming out, and you can go back and you can see months and months ago I made one because I thought that I would be helping people feel less fear and trying to soothe them and calm them during this time of uncertainty. So I made this video showing like how I was going to protect myself with the coronavirus very naturally, and how I also was not going to care necessarily because my time, if my time comes and I get sick and then it comes, and I said that. And I have a whole new perspective that I would like to share with you all based on my experience. What happened was in October, when I was missing from my channel for a while, my husband came down with it first. My husband is never sick. It's a kind of a joke It's like he's Superman. He never gets ill, but I always am very sensitive with my system, so I can easily catch cold or flus, things like that. So he was out for about a week where he felt chills and a fever. And I remember him saying, like, I'm so cold, and I had to cover him with blankets, but at the same time, then he was hot. He was confused. He was very low in energy. And eventually we thought that this might be more than just a flu. So when he had a temperature of about 101, he ended up going to a clinic here in Chicago, and they tested him right then and there, and he came back with a negative. Now, when he came back, he was still sick days later, still feeling something that I couldn't quite understand because I was not sick yet. And then I got it. And I can speak from my personal experience, what I experienced. But what my husband and I believe what happened was that it was a false negative, which I have been hearing more and more that it does happen if you test too early. Also, the virus may be evolving as it is a living organism. It is a being itself, and it is trying to survive. So it is evolving. And I'm going to go into some spiritual insights and perspectives on this, but I want to kind of just walk you through my experience so you can prepare yourself for what you may experience. You can commiserate with me if you experienced it too. So all I remember is that it came on very suddenly, very suddenly. And I had what I thought was strep throat. It was a scratch in the throat. It was a feeling like I was getting sick. And I even told some of you on here in my community tab that I had strep throat and I probably wouldn't be making videos. Well, the strep throat never got to its full symptoms as I have experienced in the past. And in fact, what ended up happening was I started getting the same things that my husband did, where I had incredible chills to my body. I could not get warm. And then the next minute I would be burning up. I had mental fog, confusion, and a very strange symptom that then told my husband and I that we did have coronavirus, and it was a false negative, and that's why we didn't know. But I lost my taste. I completely lost my taste, not in the fact that, sometimes when you have a cold, you can't taste things through the cold, but there's still a little bit of an aftertaste. This was different. This is a symptom of the coronavirus where you lose your sense of taste. And what that felt like was like an absence of taste completely. It reminded me of this movie, I think it was called Loss of Senses or something I saw. And it's a really interesting kind of indie movie that many people might not have heard about, but it's about the world slowly losing their senses. So what happens is they first lose their hearing, then they lose their smell, and then they lose their taste, and eventually their sight. And it goes on and on and on. It's actually a really psychologically thrilling movie because of what you experience through losing your senses in this way. So that's what it reminded me of. I completely lost all sense in my mouth of taste. What this did is it made me not want to eat for about 2 to 3 days straight. And eventually I had to force myself to eat Kind bars that are almonds and cranberries mixed together. I still had absolutely no taste, but I knew that I had to eat something. So this is something I don't know if people are talking about, but there's a really strange spiritual insight to this. What I realized is that losing your sense of taste is a direct response to how this virus came about. If you think about it, the virus is said to come about through eating exotic animals that we're not supposed to be eating. So a symptom is for humans to lose their taste. And it is beyond mind-boggling when you experience this, because it is a void of taste and smell, and it makes you not want to eat. So you have to force yourself to find some sense of appetite. My husband said a really great thing. He's like, well, you don't eat to just taste. You have to eat something. And because I kept telling him, like, I'm just not hungry. I had no appetite at all, not for soups or vegetable broth, which I normally do when I'm sick. I had absolutely no taste or desire to eat. This is a very strange thing that this virus does. And I would say it makes it very different from a normal flu or cold, because you're supposed to still eat a little bit on those. And of course you are, but this is a very strange symptom. The other strange symptom that I experienced was shallow breathing. Okay, so I know the importance of deep breath because I do yoga. So the shallow breathing in my chest was a very alien experience to me, because I could not feel like I could get a full breath, no matter how much I tried. So when I would walk upstairs to the second floor to go to the kitchen or to let my dogs outside, I had no energy. I was completely out of breath. And when I came back downstairs to go lie back down on the couch, as I was doing, reading and watching TV or just listening to music, I was completely left of all energy. This virus zaps you completely of your energy. So you feel completely lethargic, no energy, mental fog. You can't concentrate. You can't focus. I couldn't do much, but I will tell you, I was spiritually very aware. So I ended up doing a lot of spirit writing. And I even sometimes would post to social media, because I would get insight and I would get spiritual perspectives from this place. But yet my body felt tired. My body felt completely drained of all energy that I have never experienced before. Never. The shallow breathing is something that I couldn't really understand what was going on with me, because it just felt like there was a heaviness in my chest and I could not get a deep enough breath. So those 2 weeks that I was ill, they feel like a dream because they passed through my life. My husband got better about a week before I did, and then I got it really bad, and I was sick for about 2 weeks, and then I had to recover a week later. I kept telling you in the community chat, I said, I still need to recuperate. I still need to. Sometimes I would get emails from people who wanted an energy reading, and as much as I needed the money and I wanted to help people, I could not even respond to your email. That is how tired I was at some points. But then oddly, at some other points, I felt very spiritually aware of myself and very bright in terms of my energy, like I was on, but my body was just not. My body was not. So I was forcing myself sometimes to express my spiritual insights and my perspectives, because it was important, because I'm here for my spiritual experience and to, live that. But my body was not cooperating at all. So false negatives do exist. I'm learning more and more that it does. And the reason is because people can't catch it at time, or it's just coming up as a false negative for some reason. And I think that it's evolving. So I think there's other forms of it. It's an organism that's going from people to people. It's changing through its host bodies, and it's a really interesting time because we have a lot of division and perspectives. And let me tell you right now, I am somebody that if you have been watching my channel, you'll see I'm a very fearless person spiritually. I don't have fear of things outside because I know that everything connects to me, and that it's all related in some form. So what's interesting to me is that many people are afraid of trying to maybe combat this virus through the vaccine and are saying that the government is going to try to control us. But to me, that's a perspective of fear, because when you experience this virus for yourself, you cannot even imagine the lack of energy and the lethargy that you experience. This is why older people and all sick people with compromised immune systems actually pass on from it. Their body can't fight it off. My body barely fought it off for 2 weeks. I mean, I felt the presence of death during this time. Sometimes I just wanted to give up. I wanted to lay back. It's just enough. Like, I don't want to go through this anymore. So I understand why some souls have given up, because their body just can't take it. It's just like the elves. In the story of J.R.R. Tolkien, the idea of the elven immortality, well, they're immortal until their body gives up and their spirit no longer wants to inhabit that body. The Fea is the spirit, the Hora is the body. So when the Fea decides to leave the Hora, which is the body, then that's when an elf can transition or pass on or die. But really, they're immortal beings. And I believe that's very much how we are. Tolkien was just giving us spiritual facts of how the spirit and the consciousness within us works. When we are tired of fighting, when we are tired of being inside of this body, we release our spirit so that we can move on. And I almost did. So I want to let you know this virus is real. It has nothing to do with being spiritual or not. This is about us coming together as humanity, as all types of souls here on earth, to combat something that is only in our experience because a great lesson needed to be learned. It is about what people eat, how they treat nature, how they treat animals, and what is going on in our society in this way. Whether you think the vaccine or not the vaccine, but the virus was manufactured and created and it's fake, I'm telling you, there's a spiritual significance and reason for it being in our world. And I believe that the reason why I got it was so that I could experience it and have the perspective of full wisdom and knowledge about it to help bring more understanding and clarity to others that have not. All those who are laughing about it, making fun of it, making fun of people who wear masks, calling them, virus commies and things like that, and saying that the government is trying to, force masks and things like that. It's because you have not had personal experience with the virus, and you have not lost a loved one because of it, and you have not seen people sick around you that have had it. And that is the truth. Because if you had this coronavirus, if you experienced it, I'm telling you now, there would be no laughing matter. You would only have compassion and understanding for those who are going through it, for those who have lost somebody through it, through the process of it, and you would have full understanding. And as J.R.R. Tolkien said, and I left the quote down below, that only the wise speak of what they know. So I just want to bring you caution about it, but also allow you to understand that you can beat it too, because I did. So it is about your immune system and how you bounce back. I took a lot of vitamin D. I took a lot of zinc. I took a lot of C. I took a lot of supplements. Although I didn't eat much, I'll be honest, I did not eat much and I lost a lot of weight during this time. I truly do believe that you can get through this, but it really is about how tired is your spirit of fighting this, or your consciousness, because it will take a lot out of you, but you can get through it. And it brought me new insight and perspective. And as Ram Dass said, through his stroke, he received grace. He understood things from the place of the stroke. Well, I understand things from the place of this virus that I have never experienced before in my life. I have been sick with flus and colds. I have had all of that. I'm telling you, I have never in my life experienced what I experienced during those 2 weeks. It was the most strangest experience because it was different symptoms daily. And it was things that I felt like it was something that was happening that was bigger than me. It was to show something about this world that is going on. And it was a really amazing, eye-opening experience for myself to get through this. So yes, you can get through it, but also I really advise people to have full awareness and wisdom, your experience, before you make assumptions and talk about the virus without having any prior knowledge or experience. Maybe it's a time we just all need to step back and reflect, just as the 4 agreements said, and just not make assumptions about each other, about each other's perspectives or experiences, and just listen to each other, and then find a way where we can compromise and work together to combat this. And I think that that is something that we're definitely going to need to do, because this is something that we can't have raging over our planet for too long, because it will create chaos, and it already has started. So I don't know if any of you have experienced it. We can go to the chat and talk a little bit. I would love to know if any of you did experience it, or you think you did. And remember, false negatives do exist. Seth, I've resisted your lesson for months, almost blocked you. Then I actually listened. Much love. Oh, Seth, much love to you. Yeah, I'm the same way. When I had a couple people that I knew that were, before I got the virus, I had a couple people that told me that they had the virus and that they were very sick from it. And I had a flash of doubt. But why am I doubting their experience? You know, that is something that I had to go deeper within myself too. So I think it speaks a lot when we can step back away from our ego or our own personal experience, and we can see the experience of others and the larger experience that is going on, and the perspective there. So Seth, namaste to you. And I'm happy that that could help you kind of have more understanding. On God, I believe assumption leads to projection and an attachment to outcome, a thief of the joy and peace offered by the present moment. Yeah, that's a really great way of saying it too. You know, and there's something I'm learning about the universe, continually learning about the universe, which is so wonderful because it's all part of our higher selves. And I really do believe this. But there's an element of surprise. And the surprise is because the universe is not done expanding. The universe is not done growing and learning. So the element of surprise is very much there. That's why Tolkien said with his elves that even the wisest cannot see all ends. That was the quote Elrond said. So in our most wise states, we can never see the future, which is actually a really beautiful idea, because how boring would it be of existence of your personal experience right now to believe that you know it all or can see it all. There's no element of surprise or adventure within that at all. And I believe that life and existence itself is an adventure. I really do believe that. So the assumption, it makes you more stubborn in your perspective. That's what it does. And you don't see and put blinders on of what's really there. So that's why the agreement of making no assumption is actually a very wise one, because it opens your mind to all sorts of different perspectives, and you don't put blinders on for only your perspective. Now, I'm a very open-minded person, but I still made assumptions about the virus because I didn't experience it yet. And so after I experienced it, my mind has even opened up even more. And I have more insight into what this really is. This is not the government trying to control you. This is not about a group of people who want to kill you off. This is a larger story, a greater lesson, and it is to show the intelligent life that is not human and that has its own needs to survive, which is the virus. Viruses are intelligent life, whether they are alien coming from a meteorite or whether just born here on Earth. Intelligent life is around us all the time. The greater lesson is to understand this and to not have humans believe that they're the only things that exist in the universe. There's something going on where it's opening our eyes to something very big, greater than we can imagine at our present states. So yeah, it's really interesting to think about all of this that's happening. James, it damages the taste buds in your mouth. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, that's exactly what I felt like. It covered my taste buds, and I would look, and I made a really terrible mistake of trying to smoke weed because it's legal here. I was trying to ease my pain in my body because marijuana is very healing to many that are ill. I would not recommend doing this. The reason is because it brought up my subconscious fears. And while I was sick, I looked at the back of my throat and I saw that my tonsils were closed up and very, very small. And so I had this fear that they were closing tighter and tighter and then I wouldn't be able to breathe. Terrible. That was a bad trip. So do not smoke marijuana while you are on the coronavirus, because if you have any fears in the subconscious at all because of what your body's experiencing and what you're going through at the time, that will be a mistake. And that was my mistake. Good thing I was able to calm myself down. My husband was very supportive, and I was able to kind of just slow my breathing and realize that my tonsils were not closing up and I was not losing my breath. But there was a lot of fear there at first. So yeah, James, thank you for saying that, that it does damage the taste buds, because I have been learning that that is a symptom. And how strange is that? It's like this intelligent life, that's the virus, knows that it damages humans' taste buds. It damages all taste buds of people because it's in order to kind of teach them more about food, about what they put in their body and what they taste. And that is something I learned because I was a meat eater in my past, and I transitioned into a vegetarian. It's been a slow transition, and I'm learning that this virus is affecting us in a lot of ways, and the source of it does come from food that we never should have eaten. And in fact, not food, but animals. Debbie, I don't know. All this situation is weird. It is strange, but just be open minded to understand that some people's perspectives are different and it's not going to be all the same perspectives. And I think that that's how you remain compassionate, caring, and understanding, but at the same time, you're also not overrun with fear yourself, because that's really important. And I really do want to stress this: having caution and wearing a mask if you feel that you want to and that it's important is not the same as fear. Fear is a feeling like you cannot beat something, or that something will be out to get you and that you will not overcome it, and that it can take you over and kill you or control you or whatever. Caution is understanding that there are some negatives there, but you can also triumph over them as well. So it's not necessarily the same as fear. Yeah. Sophia, this clickbait title made people to only catch some attention to your persona. Oh, that's not clickbait title. I had said exactly what I was saying. So clickbait means that when you put a title up that has nothing to do with the content. So this is not clickbait. This is my personal experience and my story. James, there have been people out there saying stuff like, I ain't afraid of no COVID, and chewing social distancing masks, and learning too late that they should have respected them. Well, yeah. And didn't Trump, I mean, he got COVID, and I'm going to tell you something. He did not get over that fast, because I know that he said, oh, I got over in 3 days. There's no way. And in fact, when he was doing all those strange tweetings, and in fact, maybe this explains some of his strange behavior that went on during the election or afterwards, after the election, because COVID affects your mind. It makes you have a mental fog. And sometimes you don't really know exactly what you're doing. You have a true mental confusion. But if you have worked on yourself in terms of spiritually, and I consider myself to be a very alert spiritual person because of my discipline in that area of life. So I was very aware spiritually, but ask me to do small things in the house. Cleaning? Absolutely no way. I couldn't even do anything. I would go to one room and forget what I was trying to get. I would go to the next and forget that I didn't bring what I was supposed to get. I was walking around in a fog. And so everybody that has had coronavirus, there could be some lingering effects where we might be seeing that. There could be actual lingering effects of it where it does mess with your mind. On God, I'm happy you stayed here. You're such a light. Thank you. Yeah, I'm happy I did too. I didn't think it was my time yet. There's still many things to talk about and to do. So namaste. And James, yeah, I think that's really important that you said that. Good for you. I have a friend who died from it and others who were hospitalized. Yes, so my father has a girlfriend. He never married her, but she has been in my life for a while and has acted like a stepmother. She actually came down with COVID about 2 weeks ago, and they are Trump supporters. They never believed in it, and she came down with it. She was walking to the bathroom, and it was a really scary moment because she just kind of fainted, and she almost hit her head on one of the credenzas by the bathroom in my old house. They took her to the hospital, and she had to get IV and because she was severely dehydrated. It dehydrated her because she didn't have any appetite. And so they didn't catch the virus until she actually fainted from dehydration and lack of food. So this is how serious it is. And she has diabetes. So this was very serious for her because she already has a compromised immune system in that way. So James, you're absolutely right. If you don't know somebody that has suffered through this, or if you have not suffered through this yourself, I would just keep maybe silent and just listen and just hear about other people's perspectives before jumping to assumptions. It's really the wisest thing to do. Melly, Jean, everything happens for a reason. Yes, it does. It really does. I don't believe in any randomness. There's no coincidences, but synchronicities and absolutely messages, higher messages for our soul, to know down here, to remember. I really do believe that. Seth, did someone just call this clickbait? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, this is not clickbait. And then Sophia, because taking care of your health, no matter what virus is being around, is what matters, no matter what age you are. If you don't, no toxic vaccine or oxygen deprivation through a mask will save you. Well, it's very true. If you don't have the immune system, you're not going to fight through this. This is a complete energy drain. And like I said, it weakens your sense of spirit and consciousness in terms of wanting to fight off this. So those who are already halfway there, they're not going to want to go through this. I have a very healthy immune system, very healthy all my life in terms of when I get sick, I easily bounce back, and I've never had a disease. So this is why I got through this. But it does take your breath away, quite literally. Melly, your husband had it. He was sick for about a week and nothing happened to me and the kids. Yeah, some people won't get it. So that's really wonderful that you haven't experienced it. Yeah, I did, to get that lovely perspective of the COVID-19, but at least I can talk about it and I can see what's going on in the world, and I can leave this on my channel and have you know that you can fight through this. It will make you feel weird. It's going to make you feel very strange because it's new. It's not like an old flu. This is an updated version of the flu. It's a never seen before virus. So we are experiencing a new organism on Earth and how it reacts to the body. And it is, yeah, it's an incredible new perspective for me, that's for sure. So on God, was there anything that brought you comfort during this time? That's a great question. So while I was sick, all I could really do was watch movies and write a bit. What brought me comfort was just my innate sense of spirituality, to be honest, because of what I believe about the universe and how we're all connected. These things kind of brought me comfort. So I had no fear either way, but I was just experiencing pain and strangeness in the body. But yeah, I would say that brought me comfort, a greater power beyond the material world, cosmic love, whatever you want to call it, the higher self. That that energy is always there underneath the surface of everything. That's what brought me comfort. James, like I said, people aren't truly going to care about COVID until it hits them or a loved one. Right, exactly. This is about perspectives. That's absolutely what happened. So Sophia, I also knew a person who supposedly died from COVID from a heart attack, but while he had this flu, there are many instances like this one. I'd be careful with the word supposedly. I know that a lot of like the media is said to be lying about people that are diagnosed with COVID, but because this is such a strange new thing, we don't understand fully how it works on the body. So was it just a heart attack, or was it the body giving out because it couldn't fight this new infection? I mean, it really does drain you. So if your heart is already having a hard time working and pumping, it'll stop. It'll stop. So yeah, I will never make that assumption. And I've learned a lot. So my perspectives have been opened. I wanted to leave you with this insight here so that you can kind of see what I went through, and you can also maybe understand what maybe you went through, because some people never get tested. I was actually never tested. My husband was. I never got tested because I kept thinking I was going to get over this. I was like, I don't have COVID, but because of the strange symptoms, and when my husband was looking up the symptoms of COVID, I was having those symptoms. So we believe, by deduction and reasoning, that truly was COVID. I just never got tested because I was too tired to even make an appointment, to call, to do anything. I kept thinking I was just going to fight it off. And all I did was sleep all day anyway and watch TV and read. So I kept thinking, and take showers, take a lot of baths. But you got to be careful with baths because your body is changing temperatures a lot. The chills and then the fever. Oh my goodness. The oscillations between the temperatures was very strange for me. James, there are a lot of people who are at high risk death or severe damage from COVID, and not necessarily because of their own fault. Yeah, this is not something that you bring on because of your perspective, because my perspective is ideal. In terms of spirituality, I believe that we are invincible in spirit. I believe that, I was invincible to this. I believe that, all these things. And it has nothing to do with pulling this experience into your existence. It is about certain roles and experiencing certain things in order to bring forward a bigger message. So some of us will get COVID and some of us won't. And with that, we can see other perspectives from this point of view. Am I happy I got COVID and over it? Well, the only thing I'm happy about is having a new perspective on this situation and understanding going forward what is really going on with the body when people do have COVID. But I don't wish it on anyone. I wish you the grace of having the virus, as Ram Dass said about the stroke, because it did fill me with insight and perspective. And I wouldn't dare make fun of it now. I never made fun of it. I don't like to make fun of other people's sufferings, but I would never assume that it doesn't exist before I didn't have the experience myself. Mary, maybe seeking truth. What is this? Symptom because doctors, what is this? Okay, so you don't experience the symptoms because doctors didn't know what to look for or how to treat it. That's very true. That's why I think this virus is going a little bit under the radar, and people have it, but they are all experiencing different symptoms. So some people don't even know that they have it, and then they're passing it off to their loved ones. So the only places I've really gone to that I could have gotten COVID was the gym and grocery stores. That's pretty much where I have been. So they take our temperature every time we go to the gym, and they put it on our forehead and they see if we have a fever. So some people probably went to the gym without having the symptom of the fever, and then they passed on the COVID. Same thing with my father's girlfriend. She only goes to the gym and the grocery store. So that's how she received COVID as well, either at the gym and the health club, or, and so people don't even know they have these symptoms. And it lasts for a few months. Oh, okay. Well, I'm feeling a lot better now. It's been about 2 weeks now since my healing process. But yeah, I can see that, the process of getting better and healing could take some time. And yeah, if I have an immunity now to it, that would be a really great thing, because I really don't want to experience it again, or the evolved form of it years from now. This is why we must figure out how to stop it from evolving. So this is why the vaccine is a RNA type of vaccine. It's a new type of vaccine because they're trying not to use the old antibodies, but they're trying to synthesize something new, because it's about not putting the old virus into the body as normal vaccines are, but using technology, advanced technology, to actually create a vaccine that can evolve with the virus as it continues to go. So there's a bit of science that people need to read about with the new vaccine that's coming out. I was one because I thought that, oh, it's the computer chip inside of the vaccine. It's going to control everyone. I had my doubts. I had my assumptions. But I'm just saying that I think that we have to come together and we have to somehow meet in the middle, because this virus is here. It's real. It wreaks havoc on our lives, and it is causing chaos in society. And those that haven't had personal experience with it won't see that. But those that have, they will see that. Their eyes will be open to that, and they might have a little bit more understanding of what's going on. So it's really about working together and trying to fight this virus once and for all, because we don't want it evolving, because it is a living being. It's a living organism. So I think that that's so important. Viper, you're watching from India. Oh, welcome. I hope you are all doing well over there with the virus, and are trying to find some ways to keep it from creating chaos over there. James, government doesn't need vaccines to survey us. They already can through our smartphones and cameras. Thank you. Yes, I actually have a little tape over my camera right now. That's exactly right, James. It goes through the smartphones and through here. But this is a video that I will probably talk about later, because if we're going to talk about the new Earth, we're going to have to somehow start to cooperate with each other. So we're going to have to work with our government instead of fear our government and fear the elites, as they call it. We need to work with them and meet them at their level, okay? Because most of the government and the elites, what are they? They're just polymaths. They know a lot. They're very highly educated, maybe not necessarily spiritually, but they're very high educated, and we just need to meet them at their level. And we just have to be as aware as they are. And we have to work with them and show them that we know what they're doing. We know what their plans are. Cool it, and we have to be more wise and come together on Earth. So we can talk about that on another video. Alexis, you're from France. Oh, well, welcome. It's nice to see you. Yeah, this is something that I think I just wanted to tell you all, and just to give you my perspective and to show you that from my experience, this is real. And I am not somebody that's paid. I'm not a paid shill. I don't work for the government. I am simply here to help others, and to bring some clarity and some understanding on some Earth situations. And the way I do it is I go through this experience myself. I'm learning, because you don't gain wisdom and knowledge unless you first experience it and you have firsthand experience with it. And we are the sum total of all our experiences. So I say, let's not have fear. Let's not believe that the vaccine is going to turn us into something that we're not, because we are always in control as spiritual beings. And let's come together and meet in the middle ground, where we see that people are dying and suffering. And yes, Yes, people die naturally all the time, and the old and the compromised immune systems do too. But as somebody so politely pointed out, this is an effect on us even beyond those that have compromised immune systems. This virus affects your mentality, and it can cause a lot of dysfunction within your life. So we don't want to just leave it and see if it kills off the people that are already going to be dying. We want to find a cure for it so we can stop as many deaths as we can and prevent the suffering of others in this state that the virus creates. So that's all I wanted to say. So thank you all for tuning in today. I'm so happy that many of you jumped on the chat and that you can leave your own pearls of wisdom. And I will see you all on the next video. And thank you for keeping an open mind and hearing my perspective and speaking with me and talking to me. And, oh, Viper, you have COVID-19? Well, I hope you get well soon and keep resting. And just know that you can beat it. You really can. So just in that state, be positive, understand your immortal spirit, your divine nature within, and you will be able to go through anything in life, whether it be a virus, whether it be a war, whether it be, I don't know, an alien invasion. Understand your immortal, infinite nature, and you will be just fine always. So peace, love, light, and unity to all. Namaste, stay safe. I hope that you don't experience this, but if you do, I wish you then the quickest recovery and the deepest insight from your new perspective. Take care.